All right, family, welcome to another edition, another reading of Voices of Gehenna. This is going to be the reading of chapter 15 of Voices of Gehenna. So far, I hope y'all enjoying the story and the adventure of Benjamin or Benny. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and let me know y'all feedback in the comment section for those who have been keeping up with this series. This is going to be the reading of chapter 15, Voices of Gehenna. Stay tuned, family. All right. Voices of Gehenna, chapter 15. Let's get straight into that. The day after I was suspended from my job, I decided to reflect on my time at Gehenna. I listened to the replays of the interviews I did with the inmates. I absorbed all the knowledge they shared with me. Some of the inmates at Gehenna belong there, and some deserve another chance. I started this career about 5 years ago after graduating from college. So since I'm reflecting, maybe I will tell you about my first year as a criminal psychologist. My rookie year was at the Texas State Prison, known as Huntsville. Huntsville is famous for the 11-day siege that occurred in 1974. 3 armed inmates, Fred Carrasco, Ignacio Cuevas, and Rudy Dominiquez held several hostages in the education department. Huntsville is considered to be a medium security prison. Huntsville State Prison, Huntsville, Texas. My first interview took place on March 2nd, 2018. The first inmate I interviewed was an African-American man named Francis Roberts, serving a 35-year sentence for the murder of the first degree. At the time of the interview, he was about 40 years old and served about 15 years of his sentence. I was nervous and shaky because I was in a building that housed some of the worst people in society. Francis stood at 6'3" and was in top shape. During our first meeting, he tried to intimidate me by mean mugging and taunting me. Who in the fuck are you? I don't have time for this shit. Send me back to my fucking cell, Francis yelled. I'm Benjamin Hill, and I'm here to interview you, sir, I stuttered. Francis Roberts scoffed and laughed. Your cornball ass doesn't belong in this place. Hey, guards, we're wasting time here. I don't want to be interviewed by this lame-ass man. Francis Roberts, you have no choice, and you will cooperate with Mr. Hill, a guard said. Francis looks at the guard with a mean look. What if I refuse? Then you will spend a week in the hole and have your parole hearing postponed, the guard replied. Shit, I guess I have no fucking choice, he uttered. All right, lame ass, let's get this shit over with. The guard hit the table with his baton to get Francis' attention. Roberts, you will show some respect to Mr. Hill. Don't make me tell you again. Francis grunts and cracks his neck. All right, Mr. Hill, ask your questions. Tell me about your upbringing, Francis, I requested. I was born and raised in Dallas, Texas. I was born in 1978, and my parents were involved in the crack era. The crack era was a bad time for our people. Most of us were struggling to get by, so many turned to the drug trade. My father was a big-time dealer in our hood. Things were going well for us until he lost his life. He was set up and murdered by his rivals in 1988, Francis Roberts explained. You have my condolences, Robert, I replied. I appreciate that, Mr. Hill. Anyway, after my father was killed, my mother took me and my siblings to live with our grandmother on the other side of Dallas. I'm the oldest and I have a younger brother and two younger sisters. My brother Tevin was a my brother Tevin was a smart child and a straight A student. He was a square, but the hood respected him because of my rep. Anybody that fuck with my family got their asses got. You know what I mean? Yeah, I do, Francis, I replied. Protecting your family honor is important to a man. So, Francis, how do you got involved in the street life? Francis chuckled and crossed his arms. Well, that's easy. I wanted to follow in my father's footsteps. I wasn't the brightest student in school, so I ended up dropping out in the 8th grade. The streets taught me more about life than any cemetery for the mind could. Cemetery of the mind? I asked curiously. The public school system, or should I say the public food system, the schools in that don't teach you about real stuff. They only teach people how to be a fucking hamster on the wheel. The whole rat race is a scam, bro. Hopefully one day you will wake up. Many people brag about their college degrees, but they too stupid to realize they will be paying student debt for a long time. Student loan debt is no different from serving a bid in the joint, Francis Roberts explained. Nothing is wrong with having an education, Francis. A degree is an opportunity for a better life. I decided to attend college and pursue a degree in criminal psychology. Most of my peers thought I was crazy for wanting to talk with the scum of society. My mother and Uncle Roy tried to convince me to get a trade. Getting a trade is a good alternative, but it wasn't for me, so I chose the college route. College, college had its ups and downs, but I managed to complete all my courses and graduate. I will use this degree to help people in my field, I replied. Francis Roberts laughed for a moment. Help people? You can't help anybody in this prison. Most of the inmates up in here will never see the outside again. I'm probably one of them, and I have come to make peace with it. I was brought here at the age of 25 and have seen many things behind these walls, stabbings, beatings, riots, rapes, and murders. This is a place you don't want to end up in. Once you land behind these walls, you quickly find out who is loyal to you. All the homeboys that were down with you switch up on you. Your girlfriend or wife ends up sleeping with your right hand man and having his baby. Son, this is pure hell right here. Screw all that religious bullshit about burning in hell. I've been burning in hell for the last 15 years of my life. Well, maybe if you try to behave and cooperate in future interviews, I might be able to pull some strings. My mission is to help some inmates get a second chance at freedom. I am willing to work with you, Francis Roberts, I admitted. Heh, cooperate? Even if that's true, son, they ain't rushing to let a killer like me out of here. I am a 40-year-old man, and it would be a challenge to keep up with modern times. Shit, I had to ask the younger inmates to show me how to use a computer. Today, they have these smartphones and iPhones, which are dumbing people down. You could try, Mr. Hill, but I doubt the warden of this prison is going to listen to you. I chuckled. I'm looking forward to interviewing you again, Mr. Roberts. You do your part, and I will do mine. By listening to your story, I may be a rookie in this field, but being a rookie doesn't last forever. My name is Benjamin Boaz Hill, and Mr. Francis Roberts, you will see freedom again. I know it will be, I know it will be, I know it won't be easy, but it's worth the try. The battle-hardened inmate's face displayed a look of shock. Francis couldn't believe what was coming out of my mouth. Well, if this worked out in my favor, I owe you big time. I miss my mom and family. I have a lot of apologizing to do if I get out, Francis said. Not if, when, I corrected him. Francis Roberts, you will be released from Huntsville State Prison. I'm speaking that shit into existence, my brother. Have faith in God and yourself. Things will work out in your favor. A society says you're a prisoner of Huntsville, but you're still a human that's stranded on the universal journey called life. Damn, young brother, that's some deep shit you just said. Forgive me for misjudging you and calling you lame. You're neither hood nor lame. Mr. Hill, you're beyond all that shit. I hope you answered the calling that God or the universe sends you, Francis replied. I forgave the inmate known as Francis Roberts. We shook hands after the interview, and he was escorted back to his cell. During that year, I have interviewed Francis 4 more times. He opened up to me about things he wouldn't mention to his fellow inmates. He even showed me pictures of his children and grandchildren. On February 7, 2019, Francis Roberts was released from Huntsville on parole. He was able to get his GED while serving time, so that helped him out a lot. I will always remember this inmate because Francis was the first person I was able to help. I have other inmates that I interviewed at Huntsville, but that's another story for another time. I was done reflecting on my past employment. I decided to go downstairs to the main square of my condo complex. Today it was Friday and many food truck vendors were selling their products at the main square. You had food from all walks of life. The vendors of the food trucks belonged to many races: human, dwarf, elf, broganite, halfling, and even orc. All of these beings were trying to get a piece of the food truck's vendor's pie. I made my way down to the main square of the complex. Many of the residents were lining up to purchase food from the vendors. I think today I was going to purchase some salmon tacos from the elven vendor. Elves can cook the hell out of salmon. Dwarves and broganites tend to focus on beef dishes. For us humans, well, that's a no-brainer. We have Mexican, Chinese, Jamaican, soul food, Japanese, etc. In a state like Arizona, we have many different cultures of humans, non-humans, and supernatural beings living here. It's a universal melting pot, if you want to call it that. Anyway, I made my way to the elven vendor to purchase my food. I purchased 3 salmon tacos, a side of wild rice, venison shish kebabs, and some elven spring tea. I know my training starts tomorrow, so I might as well eat a hefty meal. Captain Ronnie has already given me the directions to the gym before I left the prison. I had picked the directions on my GPS in my Jeep. Yesterday, I also went to Target and a sporting goods store to buy myself some gym clothes. I don't know how long I will be suspended, but I'm sure as hell we'll make an adventure out of this suspension. I decided to eat my meal inside the main area of the first floor of the lobby. The building has a dining area for the residents and their guests. I must say that Felix's cooking never disappoints me. Felix was the owner of the food truck that I purchased my food from. Felix and his 2 daughters usually be working from the truck. Felix was a down-to-earth elf and treats all his customers with respect. Some of the residents were also eating their food outside at the dining area in the main square. While I was wolfing down my salmon tacos, I noticed a beautiful elven woman walking outside the lobby. She was tall and slender with Asian features. Her hair was jet black, her eyes were emerald green, and she probably stood at 6 foot. Judging by these features, she probably was a jade elf. The jade elves are a sub-race of high elves with Asian features. They also considered to be skilled in calligraphy. Most jade elves usually dwell in California, Washington State, and parts of the West Coast. She was wearing a long green dress with jade earrings. A few minutes later, I have seen a midnight blue Lamborghini pull up in the front of the entrance. The woman stepped inside and the car sped off. Damn, show off, I said to myself. The owner of that car was Larry Lexington. Larry was a known playboy around these streets. He had a woman every week coming to his place. Larry lives a few doors from me on my floor. Whatever Larry Lexington does for a living, he must be successful. Owning a Lambo and staying at a place like this is highly costly. Most of the residents that live here are people with well-paying jobs. I had finished my food and was stuffed like a turkey. Next time I will tip Felix because those tacos and venison shish kebabs was exquisite to my palate. I pulled out my laptop and surfed the web in the main lobby. Hey, mister, would you like to try some of our desserts? A girl's voice asked. I turned to see a young elven girl dressed in a white dress with roses. Her skin tone was olive and her hair was black. She appeared to be about 10 or 12 years old. 12 years old. Sure, I replied to the girl. I will give you a sample of elven ice cream. Our ice cream is all natural and we use milk from goats. Also, try one of our fruit bowls, the girl said while handing the snacks over to me. I tried the vanilla and blueberry ice cream for the first time. This is delicious, I cheered. I'm glad you like it, sir, she replied. My dad and sister work hard to promote our family business. Most of our customers are elves and humans, and sometimes we get a brogan night off you. I'm assuming you one of Felix's daughters, I mentioned to the girl. Yes, I'm the youngest daughter. My name is Emily, and my older sister is Tricia. Our mother is a stay-at-home mom. She spends most of her time tending to our baby brother, Philadelphia, Emily answered. Well, tell your pops that I appreciate his cooking. By the way, you could call me Bentley, I replied to Emily. Emily giggles and smiles. I sure will, Benny. It was nice meeting you, Emily. You could bet on seeing me as a regular at your dad's food truck. I did. Thank you, Benny, and feel free to visit us anytime, wherever our truck is located. Emily responded. I bid the elven girl goodbye and continued to surf the web. I decided to check the local news. The local superhero known as the Tempe Tempest has successfully stopped a hostage situation at a doctor's office. I don't know much about this Tempe Tempest, but I heard he's a young hero among the superhero community. Hopefully one day I might run into him. Also in the news, there's been a rise of anti-Nahu groups in this state. I'm not surprised at all. Bigotry still goes on amongst the human race. If we can't resolve our issues among ourselves, we sure ain't ready to dwell with other beings. Truth be told, ever since I started working at GSP, I am more open to non-humans and supernaturals. Most mundane people are usually judgmental and shallow. After I was finished browsing the news, I decided to head back to my condo and watch a movie. I will use the rest of this day to relax. Tomorrow is my first day of training at Alloy's gym. I just hope I don't get lost on my way there. So, all right, family, that was chapter 15 of Voices of Gehenna. So in this chapter, we got to learn a backstory about Bennett, his first interview he did in his career as a criminal psychologist. He interviewed a brother by the name of Francis Roberts, was an inmate at Huntsville State Prison in Texas, and then, he interviewed him for a few times and helped him got released, and then Benny was just chillaxing at his complex, his condo complex. He went to get him some food for the food truck, so he got to see what Benny did, what Benny normally do when he's not working, And the next chapter, he starts his training at Alloy's gym, So let me know what y'all think about this chapter. Like I said, this wasn't a long chapter. This was like a little quick chapter, about like a 15 to 20-minute chapter, if not less than that. So let me know what y'all think, family. I'm gonna go ahead and post this, and I'll continue to write this awesome series, Let me know what y'all think, and I hope y'all enjoy. All right.